So the bull market is here, and we have 6 months of excitement, but also focusing and locking in, because we can change our lives forever financially in these next 6 months. And if we miss this opportunity, if you don't understand the concepts that are in this video, including the one token that I've got the majority of my portfolio, and I'm going to walk you through exactly why I've chosen the SPX 6900 for myself. I got about 65% of my portfolio in that. And whether you agree with me or not, I want to show you the concepts so you can apply them to your own tokens and your own trades and cash in with as much money as possible. Because if you miss this window, this 6-month euphoric super cycle, you're going to have to wait until 2029 or 2030 to have this opportunity again. You can see that here. This is called the banana zone. See these parabolic candles that absolutely shoot up. It happened in 2014. It happened in 2018. It happened in 2021. And of course, it's 2025 now. You can see we're about here on the Bitcoin price where my mouse is right there. And 2025 is supposed to be the banana zone where we're going to hit $250,000 plus Bitcoin. If you follow someone like Jason Pizzino, you'll also hear of the real estate bust cycle. Just like what happened in 2008, it's predicted by the end of 2025 to the end of 2026, at some point in there, we're going to have a deep recession that's going to last 12, 18, 24 months. It happens every 18 years, according to this theory. And my plan is to make as much money in the next 6 months as possible so that when this crash happens, we can buy up assets extremely cheaply and print generational wealth. But good news, guys, we are here. We're in this parabolic zone, this red line. And you can see that because look at the price of Bitcoin. It's soaring to new all-time highs. It's not just Bitcoin. Have a look at Ethereum over the last month, going from 2,100 up to 3,600 US dollars. Things are absolutely flying, and the macro, of course, is supporting this, with President Trump of the USA, obviously, just said the traditional finance system is broken and crypto will fix it. Signing in the Genius Act today, Elio Trade says it's almost impossible to imagine how much higher we're going to go from here. This is our first ever true bull market. Why is this a true bull market? Because of what you just saw. Trump is literally signing this into legislation, and it is becoming not this rebellious undermarket where everyone's just fighting at each other, but we're actually now officially competing with traditional finance, and we've got the tech far superior to them, so we're going to be absorbing trillions and trillions of dollars, which is going to flood into crypto. He says, do not underestimate what is possible. This is the super cycle, what we've all been waiting for. And Miles Deutscher tweeted today, things are heating up fast because it's not just Bitcoin that's flying. You saw Ethereum start to fly. Look at the altcoin season index. We are heading back to absolute peak euphoria conditions. And I said this in yesterday's video too. Right now, guys, is more exciting than peak altcoin season. Although peak altcoin season is where we're going to make most of our money, it's sort of a scary place because every time we hit peak altcoin season, it's only down from there. On our way up, we not only have that ahead of us, but we have all the gains that we're filling in right now. So make sure you're enjoying this phase. I mean, this phase is pretty crazy already. We're not even in peak altcoin season, but have a look at this success story. These are the opportunities that are literally out there right now as you're watching this video. Kakashi says, this wallet bought $517 of the Valentine token and sold all of it for $230,000 of profit, I believe. I don't know exactly if these are day candles or not. I don't believe they are. I believe within a week. These are the success stories that pulls normies and retail into crypto. These are the ones that make people want to get out into the trenches and trade. And one thing we like to do here on this channel is to find a Solana token, trade it at the start of this video, and by the end, I'll show you how much profit we made and give it away to one of you guys. So let's have a quick look in the trenches with a token with a lot of volume. I mean, this is Annie, the Grok companion. That's getting a lot of volume still at the moment. We've had a bit of a downtrend, but we're at $31.2 million market cap. Let's trade this. We're going to click on the contract address here, then open up our Archie wallet. You can paste the contract address into your Archie wallet at any screen, and it's going to pull up a buy menu, and you can really quickly buy something. We're going to buy 7.91 Solana. Archie handles all of the back end, all of the troubles on the blockchain. He's literally gone and bought that for us, and we can go to our portfolio and see it in there. So right here, 7.813 Solana. So if you want to get Archie and trade, go to archiebot.ai and click on download Archie. But when I've finished recording this video, we're going to check back, see our profit loss, and give the profit to one of you guys. I'll tell you how to be eligible at the end of the video. So let's now talk about the other end of the spectrum, because you got the trading, the trenches end, where people, as you can see, can make hundreds of thousands of dollars out of a few hundred. But then you've also got the believers, the cults, the next Dogecoin. Dogecoin went to almost $100 billion. It peaked at $94 billion and made so many people millionaires. We want to find the Dogecoin of this cycle. And Murad really has the best views by far on which token could be the next Dogecoin. He says, if you're in crypto and you're smart enough, you know that you should always be on the lookout for the next XRP, a massive cult coin where so many people right now, I think I've had 3 people this week be like, in everyday life, oh, what do you think of XRP? It's all over my feed. People are talking about XRP. It actually just ripped to new all-time high up here, $3.46, even though it's at a $350 billion market cap. You have to understand that cults do not care about market cap. I'm going to tell you more about that. The Cardano army or the Shiba army. Everything is pointed towards SPX 6900 being that next phenomenon, and much, much more. So being bigger than Dogecoin, bigger than XRP, bigger than everything that we've seen in the past. And you can see here, because we really are waiting for the $10 trillion of normies to be onboarded, which is happening over the next 6 months. That's what's creating this euphoria in this bull market. But you can see these search terms for XRP, Doge, and Bitcoin, which are basically the biggest cults that currently exist in crypto right now. You can see that XRP in this blue demand curve right here is actually bouncing the highest, which is why everyone's asking, what about XRP? And I think weirdly, what I've learned is the price is the best marketing for it. And so the higher the price goes, the more people are going to be talking about it, even though it should be the other way around. It should be the lower the price is, everyone should be talking about it at 50 cents because then you're going to get a 7x on your money. The further it goes up, obviously, the later you are, but it doesn't matter. It serves as a massive marketing beacon. And you have people like this. Crypto God John says, XRP to $100 next month. Book it. Because you have this retail money that is now flooding back into the market saying, what car would you buy if XRP hit $100 next month? Now, people don't understand that market caps and price are 2 very different things. And they look at $3 and be like, well, that's way cheaper than Bitcoin. And they go to buy something like XRP, which if you're mid-curving this and overthinking it, you're going to think XRP is not going to keep running when it probably very clearly is, as annoying as that is to someone like me, who's like, that's such a hard play to make, to buy a token like XRP at a $350 billion market cap. It's likely going to keep running because normies are going to keep flooding into the market and putting into XRP. But what happens is once they make that profit, where are they rotating it into? And this is where Murad says, once a certain tipping point is reached, the move from a $3 to $4 billion market cap to a $50 billion market cap will be swift. Mark my words, SPX 6900 is the chosen one. So let's have a look at market caps again for a second. Let's have a look at how much XRP has added in the last month or so. So it's gone from $100 billion market cap to a $125 billion market cap to a $205 billion market. So it's added $75 billion of value into the ecosystem. Now, if something like SPX 6900 had $75 billion added into the ecosystem, it would be a 50x from its current point. And so people who are like, oh, maybe I'm too late and I missed the pump, I always show them this Dogecoin graph back in 2021 here. If we get out that massive spike, well, we haven't quite got that out. Let me give you a little bit more. And this spike looks massive here too. We swapped to market cap. Well, I think I have to give me 1 second. I'm going to pull that back again for you. So the market cap, you can see it spiked to a $10 billion market cap almost instantly. Murad talks about the things adding $40 billion market cap, going from 4 billion to 50 billion almost overnight. Well, this is exactly what happened to Doge, and everyone thought they'd missed it down here at this $7 billion market cap level. Look at it spike up. Remember, it topped out at $94 billion at that wick of this candle up here, and it did it so quickly. It's going to happen in a flash, guys. This is not going to last forever. And Murad thinks that this is going to happen to no other coin, of course, but the SPX 6900. He says, join SPX 6900 and be part of the strongest coin of this entire cycle. Who doesn't want to be part of the strongest coin? What I want to show you now, however, is why do I personally believe, based on Murad's thesis, that this will be the strongest coin? And the best way to describe this is a quick little mental experiment that we can jump down the rabbit hole together. So if you imagine a meme coin, and every time someone buys the meme coin, someone else is selling into them and taking that profit. That is probably the worst sort of meme coin you can have because there's so much sell pressure that it's just neutralizing all of the buy pressure. Imagine if you had a meme coin that had 0 sell pressure. This is just like the picture fairy book, perfect meme coin that everyone's going to want to buy into because they know nobody else will sell into them. And therefore, basic economics, what happens to the price? It gets squeezed to the upside. And so when we're thinking, what is going to be the strongest coin of the cycle? Well, it's going to be very likely the one with the least sell pressure. If no one's selling and more people want to buy, the token is only going to go up from there. And therefore, we have to figure out what aspects and characteristics is going to reduce sell pressure in a meme coin. And that's what I want to talk to you about. 3 categories that SPX 6900 is leading that will lead to extremely low sell pressure. Murad talks about this. He says the SPX 6900 is the chosen one this cycle. The number 1 in growth rate, so more buy pressure. Number 1 in decentralization, which this is the least sell pressure. If you think decentralization means money is spread out amongst more and more wallets, more and more users, and therefore if one user sells, he cannot tank the price of the token because he's only got a really small percentage of that token. He's not going to start that momentum and have everybody jump in and sell. You don't want a centralized token. You want it to be spread out as far as possible. Also because the more people who have a stake in the pie, a slice of this pie, the more people there are out marketing it for you. The number 1 in holder and whale loyalty, the least sell pressure. It already has it. We're going to go into why in a second. And the number 1 in mean and median holder investment value. This one's important because the more of a token someone holds, the more invested they are in that token, the more likely they're going to go out and market it on its behalf and be a passionate holder. If you got $1 in the token, or if you got $5 million in the token, you're going to want to be more of a fan of the token with $5 million. And it also is another test for sell pressure. If you got $5 million in a token and you're not selling, like I'm about to show you right here, it means you believe in the mission. Murad says, this is the single most important metric to measure. Okay, so Murad, who's got $50+ million of meme coins and expects to be the first meme coin billionaire, says that this metric he's about to show you is the number 1 most important metric to measure when choosing if you get into a meme coin or not. And that is, of course, diamond handedness. If you don't understand diamond handedness, it's like paper hands on one side. You'll fold, you'll collapse, you'll sell your bag of tokens very, very quickly. Diamond-handedness is the hardest substance and nothing can make you sell that token. And so he says the least sell pressure, what we're going to keep coming back to, is the number 1 most important metric to measure on whether that meme coin is going to be a massive gainer in the cycle. The percentage of holders that have ever held more than $100,000 of the coin and are still holding at least 50% of their coins is measured here below. Meme coins boil down to belief, and the most loyal believers will inherit the earth. And you can see at the top here, you've got the SPX 6900 and of course Giga, then Apu, and then the SPX 6900 on Solana as well as the top 2 out of the top 4 tokens in terms of diamond handedness among its whales. But let's not just consider the whales. Let's talk about a factor that Murad strongly believes makes massive cults. And we're going to go back to XRP for this because right now, yes, it is at a $350 billion market cap. However, we'll have a look at this line and I can once again narrow this and get rid of the spikes for you. This was the start of XRP way back here in 2013, and it launched at like a $20 million valuation. It did not launch at a $1 billion valuation, not a $100 billion valuation. And therefore, it allowed this token to do something that Murad says is critical for it becoming the cult that it is today. And it allowed a lot of people to get very rich. It printed a lot of millionaires. And therefore, these millionaires are going to be quitting their jobs and becoming massive fanatics of the token and going out there and marketing it for them. Have a look at the SPX 6900. You can see this has started the exact same way. If I can move that graph across, it had literally a long time. Let's have a look. October 2024, so a year of it being almost no valuation, less than $100 million valuation, which means a lot of people have already got rich off this token. And the richer people get off this token, the more diehard fans it is going to actually create. And if we compare this to something like Pump Fund, which just launched their own token this week, they launched at about a $6 billion valuation, which is way harder than a $20 million valuation to get holders to become rich. And if we have a look at holder count too, which is kind of interesting because the way my brain used to work is, well, if something's already got 200,000 holders, 200,000 people have beaten me to that token, and therefore I've missed it. And you go back to the graph as well, the SPX 6900 graph, it's like, wow, that's a very sharp graph. I wish I got in here at 50 mil or down here when I was posting about this on the channel. If you're not subscribed, you probably missed this, so make sure you subscribe so we don't miss the next one. But I was talking at a $280 million market cap, how this is probably a generational buy. And of course, we were right, because Murad has been bang on the money and bang on truth over the last year that he's been yelling about the SPX 6900. But the reason I'm even making this video is to show you that Murad thinks we are still extremely early. And if we zoom out and we get that $100 billion onto this chart, you can see that where we currently are doesn't even look like a bump in this graph. Now, I'm not saying I personally believe we're going this high, but I'm just saying Murad's thesis is only just playing out, and we are yet to hit critical mass, which is what we're talking about here with these holders. The more holders and the more people who have got rich on SPX 6900, the more people there are spreading the word of the Lord out there on social media, and therefore they're reaching more and more people. You want as many holders as possible for decentralization and marketing team. And Murad talks about this as critical mass. He says the single most important concept to understand when it comes to meme coins is critical mass. Critical mass is where the project reaches a point where it starts to produce its own growth. SPX 6900 is steadily approaching that point. Escape velocity soon. And this is where you go from that 4 billion to that $50 billion market cap. Now, moving on to that second factor that makes people really not want to sell their tokens and have very little sell pressure in the project. And that is basically feeling like the job is not finished yet. So if we have a look at Pepe, which is, I believe, a top 3 meme at the moment, at a 5.6, maybe a top 5 meme behind Trump, a $5.6 billion market cap. It's done extremely well, and it even had almost double that at one point at a $10 billion market cap. Now, how high is Pepe going to go? Is the job finished? Can you mark this as a successful meme? Well, yes, you probably can. And yes, it's probably going to keep going and get bigger and bigger because of the other factors we're talking about in this video. But at least this factor here, it feels like the job's finished. It feels like it won. However, have a look at the SPX 6900. Its mission is to flip the stock market. Look into SPX 6900, a crazy community trying to flip the SPX 500, which is the S&P 500, obviously the top 500 companies in the US. The traditional stock market is about to be flipped. The upside is unlimited. And the SPX community, SPX 6900 that is, literally have measurements on we are 0.0029% of our way to our mission. The job is not finished. The job is barely started. They have a high mimetic ceiling and a long way to go, and therefore the community is going to stay hustling with their eyes on the prize. Unlike something like Pepe, where like, oh, I feel like we have completed our mission. And then lastly, this is actually probably the most important one. I'm going to break this down in future videos because it's kind of esoteric when I say it, but the utility of the meme coin of community and belonging. And it's best represented in this tweet here. Hyperrich says, an account with only one post and 62 followers got 573 likes because they tweeted, I just bought my first SPX 6900. It is a loyal and strong community, and the more loyal and strong and positive the community, the less people want to leave. They don't want to sell their tokens and leave behind that community and the friendship that they built along the way. Literally 500 likes on a very first tweet. And this again is anecdotal, but this is my ex over here. YouTube actually recently took down a couple of my videos for unrealistic claims when I talk about SPX 6900, because I'm throwing around the word trillion and 100 billion and 1,000x potential, which, yeah, it is unrealistic, but that is why we believe in something. That is, I mean, Dogecoin was unrealistic that it hit 100 billion, and Bitcoin was unrealistic that it hit 1 trillion. This is an unrealistic thesis, and that's why we're interested in it, because it's got so much potential upside. But of course, YouTube didn't like it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to get my channel banned, but I was like, worst case scenario, I'm just going to swap over to X. And I'm going to bull post SPX 6900 because I am such a big believer. And I believe the community will be able to support me and help me get me back on my feet if my channel was to get taken down. And that's fully anecdotal, but there's not another token that exists out there that I think would be able to do the same thing. And for me, I'm like, that's a strong personal point of why I should really start believing in this token more, because I really do believe in and feel the support of that community. All right, let's have a look now if any has gone up or down. We're going to click on that right here, and you can see we're at 2% in profit, 0.23 Solana. So we're going to sell this right here. Just like that, Archie's going to go out and sell it for us. Really easy to do. And I'm going to send, and now 0.23 Solana is probably only about $50, but I'm going to increase that and send it to one of you guys. How do you enter? Go to my Twitter, make sure you're following me, and then click on this thread here. If you leave your funded Archie wallet in the comments below, I'll pick one of those comments and check that it's an Archie wallet with money in it, and give one lucky person 1 Solana sent straight into your wallet. If you already own an Archie wallet that's funded, come and paste it in here to be part of all of our giveaways here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.